Greetings and welcome to Hexed and Countered. I'm Joe. In this video, we'll be doing a first look at Volume 5 of Old School Tactical. This covers the Battle for France in 1940. It is, of course, from Flying Pig Games, a Shayne Logan design, and a Mark H. Walker game. So you can see we got some French armor here on the front cover. Now let's take a look at the back of the box. A brief look here. So this is kind of the standard look for Old School Tactical in terms of what they place on the back of the box. A big old photo of the board, which kind of highlights to some extent the fact that the boards for Old School Tactical are large. They have large hexes, and the counters are also large. The vehicles are slightly larger than your squad counters and your individual single-man counters, but they are very large in comparison to most games. Now, this is, of course, a tactical board game that puts you in command during one of World War II's most pivotal early campaigns. You will control squads, tanks, and support units across richly detailed maps, making split-second decisions that echo the real challenges of small unit combat. From desperate rearguard actions to armored spearheads, every scenario is a test of strategy, timing, and nerve. Right? So what do we get? We get a huge 30 by 41 inch mounted game board with 1-inch hexes, 3 die cut counter sheets of 3/4 inch and 7/8 inch counters. Those are the big counters I was talking about. 27 luck cards, 36 unit data cards, 2 player aid cards, 4 dice, full color rules, and a playbook of scenarios. It is for 14 and up, 2-player game, and playing time 45 minutes to 5 hours. All right, so now let's take a look and find out what's actually inside the box and see these components that I just listed. Okay, here we go. Here's our playbook. Here's our rule book, version 6. And it runs 40 pages. That's with the blank player note page. You got your index. So in a glossary, rules run 35, 36 pages. We will not go through this in detail, but we will take a look at it. Then we have our player aid cards. 1 copy for each player. You can see on one side we have the infantry combat table and vehicle combat table. And on the other side, you've got your terrain and things like your turn sequence, airstrikes, your bogged down rolls, and your rally rolls, plus off-board artillery, your drift direction, etc. Counter sheets, 3 of them as promised. Cards, nice deck of luck cards and unit cards. These are very useful. Then you've got your dice, 2 black d6, 2 white d6, and of course the map, which we will look at in detail here in a bit. All right, let me stack some of this stuff back in here, and we'll look at our booklet material first. So we will start here with our rule book. Let me zoom in. Okay. Table of contents. So nicely laid out. Case system. You've got Welcome to Old School Tactical here on the first page. Picture of the map with some units on it, so you can see kind of what everything looks like. You see your cards here for some of the units. As I mentioned, the cards are very useful because you get, especially for vehicles and squads, support weapons. So that's all very useful because it gives you the ranges and the die rolls you need to hit, and armor penetration and armor values and all that good stuff. So now let's look in here at the game. So basically, this is your components, right? Makes sense. The map with the trackers on it. You can, how extended play works. The game can go beyond the scenario length by rolling a die, and if you get each player rolls a d6. If the total is 7 or greater, move the turn marker to 0 and play 1 extra turn. So basically, 7 is the most common result from 2 d6s. So seems like that would happen relatively frequently. Then you got your casualty tracks, mounting losses, right? So the game has a system that you lose impulse points once you have accumulated 5 casualty points. So losing your your men is a bad thing, which kind of is in general, but in this game, your impulses get punished by it, your impulse points. And it can't fall below 1, so you'll always be able to do something. And you got your player aids, your markers, right? Markers in the game are fairly self-explanatory when you see them. You've got your used markers, moved, fired, shaken, all that kind of stuff. Shaken and broken, right? Sequence of play. Okay, here's your turn sequence. So you adjust your turn marker, then you do your reinforcement phase. Okay, then we got smoke markers because smoke lasts for 2 turns, so it will degrade over those 2 turns. You go from smoke to smoke 2, and then smoke 2 gets removed. That all happens in the smoke markers phase. Then you have scenario rolls, free rally and bog rolls for shaken and broken units attempting to rally, and all bogged vehicles can roll to attempt to free themselves. The reform phase, where you can reorganize units, support weapons, and leaders. This is when you would attach or detach leaders to units that are in the same hex as them. You can leaders can also merge 2 reduced squads of the same type into a full squad, recombine them. Support weapons can be shuffled between units in a stack. So basically they need to be in the same hex, but you can do all of those type of things. Then in the turn gameplay, you have your initiative roll to determine who goes first. Ties get re-rolled. Then you roll for impulse points. You roll a number of dice set by the scenario to get a number of impulse points for the turn. Then you do your play turn, where all your actions are carried out using available impulse points until both sides have none remaining. Then melee, right? Melee happens at the end of the turn, basically. So if you move into a hex with an enemy unit and you want to, have melee with them, then that all happens. It's all resolved at the end of the action portion of the turn. Turn end, you remove your markers, you score your victory points, and you end the turn. And then you do your extended play check that I mentioned over here, where you both roll a die. And if you get a 7 or greater, and there's 1 turn of extended play, so that's how that works, then you get, if the game is in its last turn, the game's over, and you determine victory. Pretty straightforward. How the scenarios work, we'll look at that when we look at the playbook. Control markers for the hexes. Then we have how luck cards work, and determining initiative. That's really straightforward. It's a roll off, dice off. Impulse system. You can see here, this is what it looks like in the scenario book. You'll see a gut check number for your morale and impulse points. You roll 2d6 in this case and add 3. So that's how that works. You track it on the map, on the track that we'll see when we look at the map. Looking at the units and weapons counters, here is our unit counter. Really straightforward. They call it old school for a reason. It is a very old school, straightforward, tactical game. You got your firepower and your range. Then you've got your defense rating and your movement rating. And that's it. What you don't see on here is like a morale rating, because that's determined by the scenario, right? Because it can cover various things, various units that may have some different levels of training and or eliteness and so on and so forth, right? Then you have your reduced side over here. You can see your squad here has an R for reduced, and their firepower is reduced as well, although their defense and movement ratings remain the same. Then you go through your various other things like engineers, mobile troops. These would be like motorcycle, cavalry, things like that. That's what the pictures here indicate. And then you have your single person counters, your SPCs, right? Which are things like snipers and leaders, how you attach leaders, armor leaders, how those work, leaders across various branches. Here is our crude weapon counters. So you can see you've got foot movement here. This is, of course, a gun. Foot movement, it's crude, so it has a little C there. That's its defense rating, and it's got the same thing here with the firepower, in this case HE. HE is up in the corner. If it does have AP firepower, it's kind of here in the middle on the left side, and it's in red. Then you have no move and fire. That's what that star indicates, right? So you have your max range is here in the superscript, and this kind of triangle deal here at the corner, that is your covered arc. So obviously this is not a turreted weapon. It can only fire towards its facing. And these always have to be oriented with the corner pointing at the corner of the hex, or one of the vertex, one of the vertices. There it is. All right. Explains what all that stuff is that I just mentioned. Then you've got all the stuff that's related to that. Again, we're not going to go through this in detail because I will do gameplay. Sustained fire for machine guns. Heavy and medium machine guns can have rate of fire or sustained fire, right? You can roll and end up with ammo out or gun damaged if you roll a natural pair of 1s or 2s while using sustained fire. Crews can, abandoning weapons, you may not voluntarily abandon your weapon, but remanned or captured anti-tank guns may be abandoned at any time by replacing the unmanned marker or destroying the gun and placing the unit counter in the same hex, right? So then you got your vehicle rules. So we see a vehicle counter here for our Panzer V. Again, movement up here. You do have a tracked indicator, right? Then you have, because it's an armored vehicle with armor, you got your frontal defense armor rating and your flank defense armor rating. Over here, you've got secondary firepower. That would be like its turret machine gun, maybe. Then you've got your HE firepower and range, and again, your max AP firepower is here. Well, it says max because the unit cards will actually have different AP firepower based on the range. And you've got secondary range and secondary firepower, right? So that's all explained here. You can see there's a wheeled symbol and a tracked symbol for obviously wheeled vehicles and tracked vehicles. You can have open top and unarmored vehicles, aka trucks and so forth. Dual armaments, limited fire. Then our support weapon system, you can see this is just literally a MG42 light machine gun, and these are attached to specific units for use, and specifically squads. So you have things like machine guns and anti-tank weapons and satchel charges and mortars, basically covers that. Then our unit cards. So this is what the unit cards look like. You can see here's a foot card, a vehicle card, and a support weapons card. As I mentioned, you can see AP firepower here. At close range, which is 0 to 6 hexes, it's an 11. Then it's 7. From 7 hexes to 11 hexes, it goes to 10, 9, 8, 7 as it gets further out. We got our anti-tank weapon here as well, or support weapon. Then how line of sight works. You get into kind of the nitty-gritty, and it's very well explained how hills and gullies and so on work with it as well. Structures, nice big example here of what you can see and can't see. Then you got your battlefield markers, things like cover, foxholes, trenches, mines, bunkers, pillboxes, wire, roadblocks, rubble, smoke, wrecks, etc. Excuse me. Terrain. So all your terrain types with pictures that kind of show you what they look like. Hex side terrain, right? If you're crossing, a hedge or something, a wall, things like that. Hex side terrain. Hedges, walls, bocage. Then your structures, different types, light and heavy, multi-level, multi-hex, row houses, ruins, road and structure hexes, structure collapses, morale, rallying, unit quality, stacking limits, hidden units, limited actions, movement. You can see it's very deep. It covers pretty much everything you would want in a tactical game, but the rules themselves, despite you might say, oh, well, it's like 30 pages or whatever, but it is very straightforward. Right, so you got all your vehicle movement stuff on this side here, right? You can have group moves and roll and cover, right? If your infantry wants to kind of hide behind a tank or tank unit as it's moving. You got transport for carrying your men around the battlefield. Assault movement, airborne operations, and how that works. And again, we'll go through things as we play them. Combat, how does combat work? Right, here's your basic formula. Obviously, there are modifiers and things that apply, but it's basically attacker firepower minus defender defense equals attack firepower. And then here's your combat table. And you have infantry combat, and of course you have vehicle combat, right? Two different types. This is vehicle on this side. Got the same combat table type thing here. Here's a unit card showing it, that this one is using an example of being between 6 and 10. You can see the 2-hit number. It gets higher as it gets further out, and of course you want to roll that number or lower, and your AP firepower also drops. So when you're point blank, you have a better chance to hit, and your round gets better penetration. Okay, melee rules, tank duels, right? Everybody likes it when the big behemoths start throwing steel at each other. Then you got airstrikes, off-board artillery, and our glossary and index. So that is the rules. As I mentioned, pretty straightforward. Put that to the side. Here we've got our playbook, the Battle of France. Again, terrain. This is specific to this particular game. The one in the main rule book, it was kind of general, right? Theater units and rules. So we have motorcycle units, vehicles with machine guns, and this French heavy tank with dual armament, a 47mm gun in the turret, and a 75mm howitzer that can only fire in the vehicle's covered arc. So that is not a turreted gun. Right, then you have here research material they used for the development of the game. Right, then you have your scenarios. So you've got guns of Sedan with German forces and French forces, and you can see the gut check number for both sides. Impulse points. The French, you can see their gut check's a little higher. 2d6 plus 2, 2d6 plus 4 for impulse points, right? And then it lists what the units are. And then, of course, it tells you how many turns, what map you're using, what your coordinates are, right? You can box off part of the map. You don't use the entire giant map every scenario. Special rules, French set up first in this case. French field guns are destroyed when the unit's destroyed and removed from the map. Victory, to win, the Germans must destroy all French field guns. Of course, if you know what this is about, I won't go into it, but if you know what this is about, then that all makes sense, right? Question of honor. Second one, of course, early in the campaign, May 13th, the Germans invaded France on the 10th. Got the May 14th over here. Bonchance, May 14th, near Beaumont, Belgium. Gemblot Gap. Blood and Iron. Of course, this stone, which I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but this is a famous armored battle between the Germans and the French. A scenario for Charles de Gaulle. African bayonets. So you have some colonial troops, I believe. Yeah, from Senegal, it looks like. Colonial troops recruited from French West Africa. Guderian's Gambit, approaching Abbeville. Then we have the Gate to Dunkirk. The Chateau de Corée, Price of Delay on June 10th. So we're getting towards the end now. Maginot Defiance, June 12th, and the Last Act on June 20th. Nice art on the back in French, which I don't know, so I won't try to translate that. Liberty for France, Liberty for the French, maybe? I don't know, something like that. All right. I already kind of showed you these, right? So I probably won't go. I'll just give you a quick glance again, right? These are your player aid cards. Let's take a look at the counter sheets. Nice, big, pre-rounded, easily punchable cards. You can see our single-man counters here. This is obviously the French. Then you can see some of their guns. You got field guns here, and anti-tank guns, some satchels. So you got some support weapons, right? Our machine guns. And it does tell you what they are. You can see FM 2429. Right? You got colonial troops there, rifle squad. Markers, victory points, casualty points, impulse points, and then our AFVs, right? So you can see here, it tells you kind of, you can see the track marker, you can see all the ratings, all that good stuff, right? And here is the double weaponed Char B1 BIS and you can see it's got the 75mm howitzer and the 47mm turreted cannon. And trucks. And here in the corner, the Germans make their first appearance. So you can see this is equipped with an MG-34. Right? It's basically like an APC type of thing. And we have here, you got your Germans, your German single-man counters, rifle squads, motorcycle squads, your pioneers or engineers. You can see lots of motorcycles. And there are some of our support weapons. You got your Flak 36, your heavy machine guns, which are MG-34s, I believe. Yep. And the crew counters, anti-tank rifle, bundle, satchel charges, flamethrower, assault troops, and our Panzers. Panzer 4Cs, Panzer 3s, Panzer 2s, armored cars, trucks. Is that like an infantry gun? The Stug 3B, Panzer 1s, or Panzer Jaegers. I guess that would be tank hunters, tank destroyers. And then this one had a couple counters fall out. As I said, they pop easily. So here you've got markers for the battlefield, basically, right? Your mines, your smoke, craters, bunkers. Well, maybe not cover. Sorry, I misread that. Trenches, rubble, etc. And then, of course, you've got things like your used markers, broken, intensive fire, main gun, unavailable. If we flip it over, you can see here you got machine guns unavailable. You got your rolling cover, your shaken markers, fired and moved, pivot gun, acquiring and acquired target markers, melee markers, and other side of the smoke markers, roadblocks, and all that good stuff, foxholes and wire, and all that stuff. Had this one pop out. This trench marker popped out on me, and it looks like the other one is probably in here somewhere. Must have fallen behind the map or something. I don't see it in the box, but it must be on the bottom somewhere. Then we have our cards. So luck cards and Colonial Squad. Let me bust in here and take a quick peek. Right, these open nice and easy, so you can see various things. Right, here's your 25mm Hotchkiss anti-tank gun, and again, you can see all of its ratings are on here. So it's got what's on the counter kind of up here, but down here it gets into the specifics of how it works in combat based on the range. And so here's a tank. You can see that. Then we get into the German stuff. Here's a Panzer III. Right, it tells you the guns it has and everything on there. It's very cool. So you can see it goes all the way through to here. And they are marked on the back by the side that they apply to, Germans and French. And then you have your luck cards. Right? These are this is your luck deck, so you draw these. And they give you things like this, where you can have an artillery strike. And the firepower is a 6 in the target hex, and then 3 in the adjacent hexes. You got assaulters back in the fight, breakdown, captured weapons, snipers, desertion, do or die, so on, right? All kinds of things that you can add, kind of, things that happen on the battlefield, good and bad, all handled by luck deck. All right. Next, dice. We all have them. We've all seen them. Come with the game. Now we get to kind of, here's that counter. It was under the map. It was a unmanned counter, which is what I thought it was, actually. Okay, so here's our map. This is map 11 within the game. I'm going to pause here because I need to reframe my shot. This map is large and it will not fit if I don't do that. This is as wide as my camera goes. We are a good 6 inches at the bottom that is missing. So just so you know. We will see, now at the bottom, we got impulse point tracks, which are the same as what's up here. Just for the other side, right? 2-player game, one side, right? But you can see here, large map. It is 8 panels. They are large panels. And it laid perfectly flat right out of the box. No like bulging or anything. It's perfectly flat. And you can see this is your kind of classic old school tactical map look. Big hexes, nice detail. You can see clearly what each terrain type is here by looking at it on the map. It's very, very well done. And I do have border strips that came as one of the add-ons. I was going to do the add-ons as part of this video, but I think I will not because I backed this on Kickstarter. So you use these guys to kind of frame off part of the, and I have them from multiple OST games. So I actually have probably 10 of them or something that I can use to frame off parts of the map. So like I said, I'll do the add-on for Poland and yeah, the add-on for Poland and the other stuff I'll do in a separate video maybe. Because I probably would like to do gameplay for that as well so you can see it played. Really like this game, so I will definitely do gameplay on it, but we'll get to that, right? So here is a look at the map. As I said, I can't get the entire thing, but you get the idea of what it looks like. I mean, it's all the same kind of stuff, generally speaking, at the bottom. It's just more roads and so on. Yeah, I can't really, I could rotate it, I guess, but yeah, it's a good thing we frame pieces of this off for gameplay because then I'll be able to kind of show you a better look. If I zoom in a little bit here, you can get a better look at kind of what the terrain looks like. Obviously, we got some light woods here. Got a road with some trees around it, some rough. You can see some hex side terrain here along there, some rocks. You got a small building here, and you have center dots for all the hexes as well. So really, really nice, really well done as always. And I don't know, I think Shayne Logan might actually do the maps. And he's also the game designer, but I would have to check on that. Anyway, that's going to do it for our look at Old School Tactical Volume 5. This is the Battle of France 1940. Again, it is from Flying Pig Games, designed by Shayne Logan, and is a Mark H. Walker game. Until next time, I'm going to wrap this up. So I almost got ahead of myself when I say until next time. Because first I have to thank and give a shout out to my channel members. Always do it. Don't want to forget. And do appreciate their support. Also would ask if you enjoyed the video, if you would consider liking, sharing, hyping, or perhaps even joining the ranks of subscribers here on the Hexed And Countered channel. Completely optional, of course. Even if you don't do any of that stuff, hopefully you'll come back and check out something else down the road. But now I can say until next time, and I will. Until next time, I'm Joe. This is the Hexed And Countered channel, and as always, happy gaming.